Hello and welcome back to Solid. My name is Jake. Thank you guys very much for joining me on today is Monday, June 3rd, just about 8:30 p.m. It's day 2 of playoff week. We're gonna do something every single day this week instead of just one show for a reaction, then one show at the end of the week. We're gonna do every single day. And to be fair, just be honest with you guys, hands up, lost track of time today. That's why this is at 8 p.m. and not noon like I had initially thought that it was going to be, and that it doesn't matter. I'm not going to make excuses. I'm saying I'm dumb. That's where we're at. Today, I said yesterday we were going to do a what's it called, like a review, a report card for the Battlehawks whole season. We're going to do a reKAWp. We're doing a reKAWp today. We're going to reKAWp the Battlehawks, the game that we just talked about yesterday as a reaction. Went back and watched it. The Week 10 game where the Battlehawks beat the San Antonio Brahmas 13-12. And I have a few thoughts with this game. Number one, the thought was, okay, we talked about this yesterday. This team that we know, the Battlehawks offense, loves them some screens. And when you look at the numbers for this, there was only 9 passes that were fewer than 5 yards or behind the line of scrimmage. When normally that number is about 15 to 20. Like some really high number, and it's gross, and I don't like it. We don't have to rehash all that shit. But it wasn't working. It wasn't working on Saturday. So the Battlehawks switched things up and started to move downfield. And when they initially did start switching that up and moving the ball downfield, it worked. That was that drive. Which drive was that? Was that like the 5th drive of the game? Yeah, that was the 5th drive of the game that they decided to actually start pushing the ball down the field, and they got some success off of that. And I think what they did is that they started to really chase that success and then kind of move to that game plan. Because initially my thought was, okay, they did these, they didn't do the short passing game, and maybe that was because they didn't want to do the same game plan 2 weeks in a row, so they're going to do kind of a chicken shit game plan for this game. But I don't think that's the case now. After watching this, I think there was a very clear adjustment that Bruce ReKAWping and Anthony Becht made where they started pushing the ball down the field. And I think that was a calculated thing, and I think that that's something that's actually really going to hopefully maybe not as violently and clearly as they made the switch this week. Hopefully next week they don't just all go deep shots and kind of do sprinkle in some more of that intermediate shit instead of doing the screens. So thank you, San Antonio Brahmas, for playing screens well, because it made a viewing of a football game much more entertaining than just seeing a team screen to death. I feel like this makes sense. Just to rehash what I said, the Battlehawks made an adjustment off of a real game plan that they had, and that's when they started moving the ball down the field. I don't think that this is a bullshit game plan that they had for this game. I don't think it was a throwaway. Again, because they played A.J. McCarron, I think that they really legitimately felt like this game was important, which I was kind of questioning. Okay. Now for the kind of reKAWp that we're used to. Going to start with A.J. McCarron. Always start with the quarterback. A.J. McCarron, 10 for 24, 115 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, completion percentage of 42%. Not a good game by him. Not a good game by him in a few ways. The balls that were getting tipped at the line is always something that you kind of can throw that up in the air, whether it was a good play by the defense or he's getting the ball or doing a weird angle on it or something like that. There was a few of them that were tipped. There was one pass to Jake Sailors that was tipped that could have been an interception. There was a lot of ugly there. There was times where he was just making the wrong decision. It was there's 2 huge ones where he made a really bad decision. There was one, they pointed this out on the broadcast, where he took a deep shot to Wayne Gallman in the end zone. I believe it was in the 4th quarter. He took a deep shot to Wayne Gallman while Hakeem Butler was wide open in the middle of the field. And similarly, it was actually the same end zone that he was throwing to in just about the same exact spot earlier in the game. It was the first pass that got thrown to Hakeem Butler. He threw a ball to Hakeem Butler. It was kind of in double coverage. Had a good there was good coverage on him, but Hakeem Butler didn't come down with it. And then you see, in Kamari Averett is wide. The number 80, the tight end, is wide open in the middle field again. Almost the same exact spot, but running a different direction than Hakeem Butler was open. So it's kind of some boneheaded shit like that. Now, I'm not faulting anybody for throwing a ball to Hakeem Butler as a deep shot for the first ball to him. I don't know if that one was necessarily a bad decision, because it seemed like it was kind of like Hakeem Butler's going to run down the side of the field, and I'm going to throw this ball to Hakeem Butler no matter what the hell's going on. That's what that one really kind of felt like, because again, he hadn't had a target in the game until that point. So that one kind of felt a little bit like more premeditated, rather than the one where he just straight up and missed Hakeem Butler on an open shot. But yeah, there's some dumb shit like that happened. Let's see. I didn't do iPad because I've been having trouble with my iPad saving my notes. So I actually wrote it down. So this is going to be much worse than what it normally is. I'm just trying to look right now to see if I have any other AJ McCarron notes. I will say, AJ McCarron, I just wrote, AJ has strong hands. And I meant, that's the only time I've ever written a sentence like that. And it's the most genuine sentence I've ever had. It was one of the passes that it almost looked like it could have been a fumble. But this guy, one of their DNs, comes up and just grabs AJ, like swats his hand as he's like moving the ball forward. And AJ, somehow his hand doesn't even move. Grown man's hand hit him in the hand. It doesn't move, and then the ball ends up coming out low and away, and it's incomplete. But he's got strong hands. He's got dad hands. Good for you, AJ, for having strong hands. A few of the sacks. How many times did AJ get sacked in this game? Let's see. He got sacked 3 times in this game, and at least 2 of them, I think. At least 2 of them were coverage sacks, and then there was the sack at the end of their last real drive that they had in the game where he kind of just went down. So I don't think none of the sacks, it wasn't like the offensive line getting blown up or anything like that. I probably should have saved that for when I was talking about the offensive line. I think there might have been a designed QB run, which is really dumb. I didn't like that at all. Let's see. I don't believe there was anything like abhorrently terrible. There wasn't like any brutally like gross decisions that AJ made in this game, which is a normal thing for AJ McCarron. That's kind of what makes him good in this league, and that's one of the reasons why this team keeps winning, is because their quarterback doesn't make dumbass mistakes like that. It was just drop passes. They had great coverage, lots of throwaways. Man, that Brahmas defense, they played this offense really good. There was times they're only bringing 3. It was one of the times AJ got tackled from behind. They brought 3, and one of their rushers got loose and ended up tackling AJ from behind when they dropped 8, and it was just, they had just good coverage all around. I mentioned it in the preview for that game, is that these receivers have to have strong hands, and right off the bat we see Darius Shepard get a ball ripped away for him for what would be a first down. It's just shit like that, man. That, I would say that 10 for 24 is mostly on the defense. There are a lot of drops. I say a lot of drops. There are 3 very specific drops from Steve Mitchell. But again, my biggest mistake ever was claiming that he's my guy, and I have walked that back. But he did get the touchdown on a busted coverage where he was just sitting down in the end zone, and AJ just threw it to him in a spot where Stephen Mitchell could not drop this ball, even though it did hit him in the chest and then ricocheted into his hands, which was weird. But yeah, Stephen Mitchell had a particularly bad game. Ja'Cory Pearson got overthrown one time. Ja'Cory Pearson was 3 for 5, 3 catches on 5 targets. One of those targets was a ball that was overthrown or just thrown like way to the out. It was just a miss by AJ. That was the one where he started like complaining that the ball was wet, which, AJ, I'm going to stand for you on a lot of things, man. I'm going to stand for you on a lot of things. That's a bit much. Because this is actually the team the Battlehawks were playing when they in week 3, when they had a whole bunch of issues with like AJ was like had the kicking ball in, and there was a bunch of like finicky bullshitty stuff like that. It's like I don't know. I just don't know about. We can complain about a lot of things, and I'm all for it. And if you're complaining about the ball being wet, I'm gonna take your word on that. The ball was too fucking wet. If they had the kicking balls in week 3, yeah, don't give me the goddamn kicking ball. What are you talking about? I'm on your team, but we're pushing the limits, AJ. We are pushing the limits on the things that we're gonna complain about, and us not absolutely sounding like real absolute lunatics like that. We're really close to a line, and some people are saying that we might have crossed it with that kind of stuff, but they did not. AJ AJ, no matter how much he complains, he is not complaining near as much as Wade Phillips is after this game. The Battlehawks didn't do a post-game press conference, at least it's not on the UFL YouTube page, which is where they all are. They didn't do one, so I watched the Brahmas one, and it's just Wade Phillips bitching and moaning so much. That guy's just a fat nothing burger, that Wade Phillips. And I'm biased. I don't like the guy. I've said I hate the guy. I actually he blocked me on Twitter, which is kind of a weird thing. Let me see exactly what my tweet was. If I can, that's dumb. I sent a tweet just out into the ether, probably a while ago. That said, I hate Wade Phillips. The thing about Wade Phillips is that I hate him and I always will. That was the tweet. And then he blocked me. So, okay. All right, weirdo. So, yeah, I don't like Wade Phillips, and he doesn't know who I am and never will at this point. So it doesn't feel good that I hate him and he doesn't know it, but that's where we're at. But, yeah, AJ, not a good game, but it was a good the defense played him really well, and that's going to be a very, very big – I would assume that Bruce Gradkowski and I would say Anthony Becht are going to have a big week ahead of them, but it's probably mostly going to be Bruce Gradkowski and not a whole lot of big tone. So that's the AJ side of things. Going back to the wide receivers, like I said, Ja'Cour Pearson 3 for 5 for 36 yards. I don't necessarily want to blame him for some of the drops. There was one where he absolutely just got lit up when the ball hit him. Hakeem Butler only got 2 catches. That's 2 games in a row where he's had 4 catches total, which is not a winning formula for this team. I don't know if he's hurt or what the hell's going on. Early on in the season, when he had a big game, like one of the reporters asked AJ McCarron, they said, "So are you just like targeting him?" Or maybe it was like, and they asked the same question the next week after Ja'Cour Pearson came back. They're like, "Are you just targeting these guys?" He's like, "No, I target who's open." And maybe that's true because maybe Hakeem Butler's not getting open enough. But I don't know, man. He had that one a really good route on a 3rd down where it was man coverage. His defender was on the outside and he just ran across the field. Anytime you can get Hakeem Butler running across the field with the guy covering him behind him, you're gonna have a successful play right there. And that was like a 3rd down play for 23 yards. That was just a really good play. That was a really good route by Hakeem. And he runs pretty good. He runs good routes for being as big as he is. I've been a fan of him. They brought up during the broadcast that he could potentially be a offensive player of the year. It's like, I don't know about that. Having 2 games, yes, he's the leading receiver in the league, but having 2 games where you're got 4 targets is not. That ain't good. And then there was the Stephen Mitchell, had the 1 catch for 22 yards as a touchdown. I already ragged on him. I think that he's got bonehead hands. There was a touchdown that he dropped later in the game. They just took he's there for AJ to take deep shots too. And if you're a deep shot guy, like AJ's putting the ball on him. I mean, that's one of the hardest parts about those deep shots, the low percentage passes, is that it's hard to get the ball to move that far through the air that accurately to give the wide receiver a chance to catch it without the defense busting it up. And sure shit, AJ can put the ball on Stephen Mitchell, but man, he's in the end zone. There was the one where he did catch it in the end zone, but there's another one later in the game where it hits him in the hands. He bobbles it, and while he's like coming down on the ground, it's like, buddy, come on, dude. This is what you're here for, friend. Come on, we're not throwing you the ball 10 yards past the line of scrimmage. You're only getting it 15, 20, 25 yards past it. You got to come down with that, my guy. And he's just not. Jake Sutherland, I thought, had a good game. He had the 1 catch for 12 yards, and they also had the phenomenal 1-point conversion where he catches a ball 1 yard behind the line of scrimmage, and then he's got a guy who's just sizing him up, just right in front of him. He hits Jake Sutherland, but Jake Sutherland goes over the top and does a last-minute reach. Hey, Blake Jackson, when you fumbled last week, that's how you reach a damn ball, man. That's how you reach a ball. Not in the middle of the field. You reach for the end zone. You don't reach for a first down in the middle of the field, stupid. You do a Jake Sutherland, you reach for the end zone on an extra point. So I thought Jake Sutherland had a sneaky good game despite his lack of usage. Darius Shepard, not exactly a huge piece in the passing game because they were playing him well. He only had 1 for 4 on 2 targets. The other target, again, like I said, was the one that got ripped out of his hands, which is, again, just a really good play by that defense. So that's kind of how the passing game went. But for the running game, the running game, the running game, the running game. For a large part of this game, it was bullshit. And I think that was largely due to play calls. The first run, I will say, the first play of the game was a run, Jacob Sailors for 8 yards, which I love. I love that. I love actually getting positive yards on your first play of the game. That's something that we don't see. We might have seen that 4 out of the 10 games this season. Actual first play that is successful. That is truly great. But it was actually the Battlehawks' second drive. The second drive, the first play was Jacob Sailors' run to the left. The third play was the first play, Jacob Sailors run to the left. Second play, Jake Sailors run to the left for negative yards. Third play, you're never going to get this. So if you're thinking, if you are the San Antonio Brahmas, you see that they just handed their ball off to their running back twice. One time you met him in the backfield, but he was still, the first time he was aiming for the left tackle's right ass cheek. The second one, he's aiming for the left tackle's right ass cheek again, but you meet him in the backfield. The third time, where the hell is he going to go? They couldn't possibly do that again. They couldn't possibly, well, they did. Because that second drive was 3 straight runs to Jacob Sailors, and I just don't get it. My note that I wrote about that drive was, what the fuck is this? Like, I didn't know what the fuck that was. I would like to know what the fuck that was, because I just don't know what the fuck that was. Like, I don't understand what that play calling was there. I don't know who that came from. Like, I don't know how this offense does its script for its first 15 plays. I don't know if they just throw that in the garbage when it comes to the second drive. I don't know what the hell this was. The 3 straight runs to Jacob Sailors, man, that was mind-boggling. But he had 12 carries for 50 yards. And he had some really strong runs, man. He had some really strong runs. Obviously, the run of the game was a 1-yard run where he got tackled 3 times and he's spinning around on his one hand on the ground, not going down. What are you doing? How are you going to do this? How are you getting out of this? And then he runs. He gets from like a 5-yard loss, comes around the outside, gets stuck at the line of scrimmage, gets hit, and then he comes forward, gets a yard, what are you doing? Run of the game for 1 yard. That was beautiful. It was beautiful. It will never be seen again by anybody, but that was a beautiful run. That was a beautiful, strong run. I love that for him. His longest run of the game was 12 yards, but nothing can compare to we will never forget on June 1st when Jake Sailors got tackled 5 yards in the backfield, refused to go down, and turned it into a 1-yard game in a game where the Battlehawks won 13 points. And I believe they ended up punting on that drive. So we're never going to forget that. We will. That's Jacob Sailors. That run will be etched into my mind for eons to come. Wayne Gallman, 6 carries for 41 yards. Again, I thought he had a really strong game. He had a couple big runs that he kind of broke off. There was one of them where he breaks a tackle, and while he's going to the left, when he his momentum from breaking the tackle is carrying him to the left, but there's nothing there, and this is about 3 yards past the line of scrimmage, and then he just says, "Fuck it, I'm going to the right," and just bounces out to the right and gets another 5 yards on the run. It was it's just good to see that these guys are still it looks like they're playing fresh in 10 weeks into this season. That's just a good thing to see. A.J. McCarron, 4 rushes for 12 yards. Ja'Cour Pearson had a running back draw at the beginning of the game. It was the third play of the game. It was a draw for 2 yards, which was weird. I was kind of hoping that they were going to do something with that. They had lined Jake Sailors up in the not Jake Sailors, Ja'Cour Pearson. I don't know if I said Ja'Cour Pearson. Ja'Cour Pearson had the running back draw, wide receiver draw. I don't know what he was a running back in that play. But I was kind of hoping that they were gonna seeing that early. Kind of hoping that they were going to build off of that, do some real sequencing. With that kind of thing. They did some good sequencing in this game on the Jake Sutherland 12-yard pass. Jake Sutherland lined up as a fullback and then looked like he was going to be a lead blocker, and then just duped out of the way the guy the linebacker that it looked like he was going to block, wide open at the sticks, catches the ball, goes down 2 yards after that. I'm good with that. That's good. And then they kind of built on that with some other plays later on in the game that were kind of ultimately fruitless, but it was good to see that at least they were making that attempt. Going back to Ja'Cour Pearson as a running back, nothing really came from that. Nothing really came from JaKor Pierce. There was no creativity with other plays, having him come out from there. It was like they kind of had something that they had a building block that they just kind of ignored for later on in the game. And maybe again, they did. I'm talking out loud and thinking out loud here. Like I said, they clearly changed what their game plan was going to be and how they were going to attack this defense after they didn't have anything going in the first 4 drives of the game, first 4 drives of the game. And they kind of changed it. Maybe they initially had something planned for JaKor Pearson. Maybe they'll build on that for next week. I'm not entirely sure, but I really do hope something does come off of that. That'd be a fun twist, seeing JaKor Pearson come out of the backfield for a big game. So I believe that is all I got for the offensive line. The offensive line, loved it. Loved the offensive line. Loved the offensive line in this game. And they helped so much with the running game. There was several plays where whether it be Jake Sailors or Wayne Gallman, they weren't getting hit. And like their first contact was like on a Jake Sailors one specifically. I rewound it like 4 times just to make sure I could get it right. The first contact on a Jake Sailors one was 5 yards down the field. It's like they played really well. They played well against that defense whenever they got them out into space. That defense is really hard to run up the middle on because they're good. That's why they're in this situation. You've seen their offense, and it's their defense that's kind of saving them for this season. A hard defense to run on up the middle. But when they were getting out in space, it was great. There was a run where Wayne Gallman waited for was it Mike Panashuk? And I can't remember if it was Kamari Averett or Jared Jones-Smith, but Wayne Gallman was really patient on a run, let 2 guys get out in front of him, and ended up running for I think like 10 more yards after that. Like the offensive line really stuck their blocks, and they did well. I don't believe did they have any. I don't know if there's any penalties on the offensive line. No, there wasn't. There was no penalties on offense. It was just a clean game up front by the offensive line, and that's incredibly important because everything that those front 5 guys do affects the entire rest of the play. Those front 5 guys affect what would that be? 17 people on the field are going to do for the rest of the play. So seeing them actually play consistently was a good thing. So that is the offense. Before I go to defense, talk about special teams. Andre Schmidt, 2 good field goals, 32 and 38. I like him. He's good. He's only ever missed 2 this entire season, which I like. Darius Shepard had, is this right? He only had 16. Oh yeah, his return yards came in the punt return, specifically on that last punt return where he returned it. I don't know, let's see, punt returns. His long was 41 yards, which set them up for a real good position that ultimately turned into a field goal at the end of the game there. So that was a good thing. Let's see. I believe that's all I wanted to touch on for special teams. He didn't miss kicks, which is just great. Okay. Defensively, they played really good for about 90% of the game. They played really good for about 90% of the game, and it was that defensive line that played well. Last couple games, the defensive line has been a little bit sleepy, has been the word I've been using. They haven't been doing a whole lot, this defensive line. This game, they really, really turned it on, and it felt like it was almost everybody that did something. Writing Pita Tamoipenu, name a handful. He might have been the name that I wrote the least. But Pita Tamoipenu, the book might be out on him. Right tackles are just taking him deep and just taking him out of game or out of plays, which kind of sucks. But he did initiate the sack in the Battlehawks' first drive. I should say this defense did get 2 sacks. There was a lot of close ones too. Which close sack doesn't actually matter. It just matters about the sack. But Pita Tamoipenu kind of initiated the very first sack on the first drive on Chase Garbers, where Travis Feeney actually did end up getting that sack. But Travis Feeney had a good game. He was actually the one that did take Chase Garbers out of the game. Speaking of which, I didn't realize Chase Garbers got hurt and taken out of the game. I didn't realize that. I thought that the Brahmas did a thing where like, okay, we're gonna keep this guy fresh because he got sacked. So he's getting hit a lot after he throws the ball. He's getting popped. We got to take him out of the game, keep him fresh. No. fucked up. They fucked up his wrist again, which is the same wrist that he hurt that took him out of the season for 5-6 games or something like that. So that's a good thing. It's good. It's an objectively good thing. Sucks a guy got hurt, but it's we're here for us. So fuck him. Is my point. But the defensive line, we had Chris Garrett and Freedom Akinmoladun get a pressure on the Cam Kelly interception. Austin Fallu caused a forced fumble. They didn't give him near enough attention for that. I wrote Travis Feeney tackle for a loss. Carson Wells wins late on a pass rush. He's just got a motor on him, that guy. He's just a little tugboat, just keeps on scooting. Carson Wells wins late on his pass rush, forces Chase Garbers to throw high on a third down. It ended up being incomplete. The D-line forces a bad throw on third downs. They were just winning. The defensive line was just winning on third downs, and that's just an incredibly important thing because we saw what happens when this defensive line doesn't win. And that's when the other team's able to move down the field with lightning speed. Their 2-minute offenses were just really the Brahmas 2-minute offenses were just really good. Going on these last couple drives here. What's his name? Javante Kirkland, Jontre Kirkland. Number 13, their only good wide receiver, had 7 catches for 127 yards. He got the ball thrown to him 10 times out of a total of 38 passes that were thrown. It was 27 by Quentin Dormady. He went 15 for 27 for 188, 56% completion percentage. Chase Garbers 5 for 11, 45%. But Jontre Kirkland was just beating the absolute shit out of Tim Harris, man, the entire game. Every contested throw that was made to Jontre Kirkland on Tim Harris, Kirkland came down with it, man. He was just getting picked apart, but he had good coverage on him. He was just losing. He was just losing. And that's something that's really going to come back to hurt because, again, Brandon Sebastian's out. I don't know. I guess you have to keep Tim Harris in. I mean, he's played good for the most part every other game. This one, he just got the shit kicked out of him. I think Cam Kelly is going to be an interesting thing for me. So Ben DeLuca is off the IR. He was inactive for this game, and Quinterio Cole was inactive for this game. So both of those guys are going to be able to come back. I believe Quinterio Cole will just be able to get put into the lineup. But Cam Kelly's been playing really good. Really, I think he's got the most interceptions in the entire UFL. We'll end up covering that tomorrow when we do the full season report card. I don't know if you can justify taking Cam Kelly out for a guy coming off the IR. I don't know if you can justify that, man. That's going to be a tricky one for me. I like the way that Cam Kelly played this game. He did miss one tackle on Jontre Kirkland, on Jontre Kirkland's touchdown at the end of the game. That was the one where he did a double move that Tim Harris just absolutely bit on. Just ate the cheese on that one, man. He's just a mouse, ate the cheese, got his neck snapped. Because Jontre Harris just does the one little step back and then just burns down the field again, and Cam Kelly is there to tackle him, just doinks off of him, and he just walks in the end zone. That one sucked. But they were just able to move down the field, and it didn't help that the defense was making some bad decisions. Again, the Chris Payton-Jones DPI. Other than that play for Chris Payton-Jones, he had a pretty good game. There was one drive, if I can find it. He's the only name that I wrote down for the Chris Payton-Jones breaks up. This is on the 9th drive of the game, which I don't know when the hell that was. I don't know why I mentioned which drive it was. Chris Payton-Jones breaks up a pass on the first play. Chris Payton-Jones forces a wide receiver out of bounds. The ball goes wide, uncatchable. Nobody comes down with it. Chris Payton-Jones almost gets a pick. This is when Willie Harvey got a really good late pressure and forced that Quentin Dormady to just do some dumbass pass. Chris Payton-Jones, my point, is that he played one of his better games of the season, which is really good to see given that it's kind of coming down to do-or-die time. I think this is going to be a pretty good kind of confidence boost for him, while it's the exact opposite for Tim Harris. The fact that these cornerbacks don't shadow meaning that the quarterbacks don't follow the number one receiver. They just stay on their sides, and they're lining up their best wide receiver, their only offensive weapon this game, against Tim Harris, and he's constantly beating Tim Harris. Kind of shows what San Antonio thinks of the Battlehawks defensive backfield. Like if they're like, hey, we're gonna put our good guy on the guy who's not as good that we know they can keep beating, then we're gonna do that. Whereas every time they were throwing it to Chris Payton-Jones, I mean, he was mugging people. He literally mugged a guy and took the ball from him on that DPI. But you could see like they were very much more towards Tim Harris than they were Chris Payton-Jones. So that's just something that you gotta. I don't know. Just keep that in mind whenever you're watching this. Don't like John Trey Kirkland's gonna go the fuck off next week. Like that's what's gonna happen because unless this defensive backfield switches something up and he's either gonna go for 150 yards or he's gonna have about 14 is what it's gonna be. They're either gonna just buckle down on him or he's just gonna run free like he did this week. But that's a defensive backfield. Linebackers. Mike Rose didn't do a whole lot this game, but Willie Harvey, man, he was getting after the quarterback. He was bringing heat. There's a lot of times they were doing these late blitzes and late pressures with him where he would be able to be a free runner coming at the quarterback, and that shook him. He got some good hits on both quarterbacks. He made sure that they were throwing bad balls. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Quentin Dormady was 15 for 27. One of the reasons Chase Garbers was 5 for 11 because Willie Harvey was playing like a man, like he was possessed. Not a man possessed. He like legitimately is a possessed person. But that's a issue that we're gonna tackle in the offseason. Just have that demon just bring its. I don't know. I was gonna say bring its dick out for the next 2 weeks, but there's children in that stadium. You don't want to do that. But you guys get what I mean. Just keep doing that kind of thing. Again, Austin Fallew had the forced fumble, which was really good. That I believe was it Chris Payton-Jones ended up recovering that fumble. I can't. I wonder if I wrote this down. That was earlier on in the game. Man, I really wish that I had my my iPad was working. I don't know. Whoever, I think it was Chris Payton-Jones. It was a smaller guy. I'm pretty sure it was number 9. Had the fumble recovery off of Austin Fallew. There's another play, Austin Fallew, who the name doesn't sound familiar. We haven't talked about him a whole lot because he's kind of been hurt off and on this entire season. Probably only been active for maybe half of the games. Maybe 6 game, whatever it is close to 50%. But he had a one-arm tackle on a running back draw late in the game that stalled one of the Brahmas drives where it seemed like they could have been able to move down the field. Biggest takeaway on defense is that they just had a really shit time. Or that biggest takeaway for the Battlehawks defense is that the Brahmas offense had just a shit time this game. They had a really, really terrible time. They had so much trouble with the crowd noise, and that's because Wade Phillips did not prepare his team at all for this. So that's a huge thing that they actually did end up winning the home field advantage for this. I think I might have underplayed it in my head a little bit. I just assumed that a team would prepare themselves. They absolutely did not. They didn't give their backup quarterback over a quarterback who got hurt earlier this year. They didn't give him a microphone in his helmet, so he ended up having to do like a middle school thing where he was running back and forth to the sideline to get plays, which made it so their offense was incredibly one-faceted. They couldn't do motions and stuff like that. Early on, they did some motions, and they were scheming guys open. When they had Chase Garbers in, and he had a microphone that was working in his helmet, there was specifically a play, I believe it was in the first drive, they schemed open. It wasn't even like one of their good wide receivers, like number 84, that Calvin Turner guy. They schemed him open so that it was man coverage, and they put him in motion, and then Mike Rose had to chase him down, and it was the same kind of thing where you see Hakeem Butler get the ball with a guy running behind him. He's going to catch it, and he's going to get good yards. Is that kind of thing what they did, but with Mike Rose, where they had Mike Rose chasing after this guy. When they had motion, they were able able to do things. I think that they're going to be a little bit more prepared next week for the crowd noise. They can't be any less prepared. So maybe it won't necessarily be as big of an issue. It's still going to be a big issue for them. They showed that they absolutely choked in this. But I don't think it'll be as big of an issue because, again, if they don't have to do that play thing that they were doing, that helped so much in this game. If they don't have to do that, they're going to be able to have a more complicated offense against this defense that in the beginning of this game when the Brahmas were doing their scripted plays and knew what the hell was going on, nobody was surprised by the play calls that were coming. They were able to kind of move the ball a little bit with those things. Obviously, this defense played very strong. I'm not trying to knock this Battlehawks defense at all. They held the team to 12 points. That's a winning effort on defense. That's an absolute winning effort on defense. It's just they kind of just sucked the butts when it mattered most in those 2-minute offenses. Hopefully they don't get put in that same position next week. Hopefully that this offense doesn't just absolutely waste drives by doing 3 consecutive runs. But nothing would honestly surprise me at this point. So that is the defense. I think I covered everybody there. As far as coaching goes, okay. So there was a lot made of and I honestly made a little bit of it too with the challenge, and then they were like, okay, oh my God, actually AJ's the one who spotted this. I'm not entirely sure. I necessarily think that that's the case. I would like to think that AJ's the one that spotted this, but when they went to the actual the all access thing that they did on the broadcast and they showed AJ runs up to Anthony Becht while Anthony Becht is on, talking to somebody in his ear, and AJ says, that's a man downfield, and then Becht kind of pushes him away and then immediately says, let me get a number on that lineman. And it seemed like whoever he was talking to on the microphone was already on the same page where they're like, because if somebody just out of nowhere just calls you up and says, let me get a number on that lineman, you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? But in this case, it seemed like Becht was already on the phone with somebody. I think it was somebody upstairs, that literally upstairs, not God. I think that it was somebody that was upstairs in the building actually spotted that. I don't necessarily want to give that to AJ. I think this is a coaching staff kind of a thing, but I thought that was really good. There was a really dumb the fake brotherly shove that the Battlehawks were going to do on their first drive that ended up making them use a timeout with 12 minutes. 12 minutes and 58 seconds left in the first quarter. The fourth play of the game, the Battlehawks used a timeout, which is just so stupid and dumb. And then they tried to do that little dipshitty fake punt kind of a thing going on. Again, it's one of those things I wonder if this is going to end up becoming something. That's kind of the cool part where I still have my hopes up about the way that this offense is building and, like I said, sequencing plays, is that they're playing the team twice in a row. So they're going to be playing 2 hours of football against this team. So it's not just this one offshoot where, okay, they're showing this. They didn't use it or do anything with it by the end of the game. Well, then what the fuck did they show it for? They still have an entire another game. There's an entire another game that they have to play against this team that something like this could build upon. I don't know if that's the case. Maybe I'm giving the team too much of a benefit of the doubt, but I'm keeping my brain kind of open to that. Let's see. Is there anything else? Or are we getting to awards? I think we're going to get to awards. Okay, we're doing some awards. It's the ReKAWp of the week is the first one that we're going to do. The ReKAWp of the week goes to the player who had the best performance in the game. I don't give it to quarterbacks because A.J. McCarron would win it every single time. Now, initially I was thinking, okay, if A.J. McCarron is, and the reason I brought up the A.J. McCarron not being the person who spotted the man downfield is because that would win him ReKAWp of the week. That would undoubtedly win him ReKAWp of the week. Just like last year, in the season last year, I believe it was in Vegas, his headset went out, and he called plays for an entire drive, and it was a scoring drive, and he won ReKAWp of the week for that because he was not just a quarterback, but he was the offensive coordinator at that point. So I don't know if I can give AJ ReKAWp of the week for this because I don't. For ReKAWp of the week is the most sacred thing that I have. That's the only thing that I have to my name. If I die, my gravestone's not going to say my name. It's just going to say ReKAWp of the week. It's just going to be in quotes. It's just going to say, I wish I could give out one more, and then it'll be a hyphen. It'll say ReKAWp of the week. That's what my gravestone will say. So I don't know if I can give it to AJ McCarron. I think I have to give KAWP of the week, because there was no wide receiver that really stood out. The only guy who scored was, I'm going to give KAWP of the week to Jake Sailors for the run. I'm going to do it. He's won KAWP of the week before, but that was just a really impressive run. Again, I value this. I value this, and yes, this is absolutely a joke, but I value the KAWP of the week, and I think I have to give it to Jake Sailors for that run. That's the most, all I want to see is you doing your best. That's how you get somebody to root for you. If I know that you're doing your best, last year when I see Jawan Bushell-Beatty and Jared Jones-Smith standing straight-kneed, lumbering over people while A.J. McCarron becomes the most sacked quarterback in the or in the XFL, I'm like, these guys aren't even fucking trying, man. They're not even trying. But when I see Jake Sailors do that, where it is a sole effort, it's a team sport, that is a sole effort by Jake Sailors. He's getting KAWP of the week for that 1-yard run. That was so impressive. I loved seeing that. KAWP of the week, Jake Sailors, I'll get you a certificate. Of the week. Of the week could go to 2 people. Of the week, no, it's going to go to 1 guy. Of the week is going to go to... what's his name? Ryan Santoso, the San Antonio Brahmas kicker, for going 0 for 2 this game. There's KAWP. There's you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done and missed the field goal. You shouldn't have done and had the first one blocked. Also, Kamari Avert, hats off to you, buddy. So stupid. I guess KAWP of the week could go to Hakeem Butler. If he did touch that ball on that last kick, I'm not entirely sure he did. If he's celebrated before, and I feel like he would celebrate if he did that. So I don't know. I need definable evidence, or I need certified evidence in order to give it KAWP of the week to him. But of the week, Ryan Santoso. You suck, buddy. KAWP of the week. KAWP of the week is going to go to actually Wade Phillips. Because all of his comments, it's an 8-minute video. If you go to the UFL's YouTube page, you click on videos, you scroll down. It's probably maybe 5 or 6 videos down, past some highlights and other press conference shit. You go to theirs and you just hear him bitch and moan. It's like, shut up, coward. You stink. Shut up, coward. Coward. Wade Phillips, you're a coward. Anthony Becht, you're not a coward. That's the first time I've ever said that. Dumb bitch of the week is going to go to, what did we say his name was? What if I go to away? I go to, oh, man, what the hell? Comparison, is it going to be starters? The Julian Davenport, the left tackle who had the illegal man downfield. You dumb bitch. Dumb bitch of the week is Julian Davenport. That was a dumb move. You're a dumb bitch for that. Also, it could go to that Tease Tabor guy, the guy that AJ was getting in his face after the game that took a few cheap shots. Tease Tabor, you're a dumb bitch, but you're not as big of a dumb bitch as Julian Davenport. Not at all. Hot mic of the week. There was only one hot mic this week. There was only one hot mic this week. And there, Fox knows it too. Also, Fox, you're cowards. Fox is cowards, because Joel Klatt even says, hopefully the censors were good enough on that, so we didn't hear AJ say the F-bomb. It's like, shut the fuck up. Don't be a coward like that. Just let us hear it. The ESPN let us hear the N-word 3 weeks into the season. I guess I was actually against the team. Like, they let us. They didn't give a damn about nothing. And they just let the hot mics fly, and it's really taken a fall off in the later half of the season. But whoever was mic'd up on San Antonio, you could just hear it at one point. He said, "Shut your trash ass up. I don't know who you are. You're not on the scouting report." And that's such a good insult that he didn't think anybody was going to hear that. But to insult somebody by saying, we didn't even think about you when game planning this game. We game plan for every person on the field. We did not game plan for you is such a good insult to somebody. I don't know who he was saying it to, probably to Stephen Mitchell. But that's such a good insult. Shut your trash ass up. I don't know you. You're not on the scouting report. That's creativity. And hats off to whoever they had mic'd up. There was a few other awards that I wanted to get out. This is did we really need this? You sure we needed that? I'm not entirely sure we needed that. I don't know if this is something that we needed for Society Award. I don't know what the acronym for that is, but whoever came up with the helmet cam. which I believe was actually 2K, the video game company, in about 2006 when they let you do first-person football in their games. I'm pretty sure they were the ones that came up with it, but I'm not entirely sure we needed a helmet cam on the running backs. Did we need that? Because that just gave me a headache. They only showed it like 2-3 times during this game. I don't know if we needed that. You know, I don't. That's not something that we needed. I mean, it was like when they said, all right, and here we go to the helmet cam. We got a helmet cam on Wayne Gallman. It's like, okay. And then they did the helmet cam. I was like, I don't know what the hell I was expecting. Not this. Not this. This is awful. What the hell is this? And then they did it again for Jake Sailors. It's like, oh my God. And you just don't know what the fuck you're looking at. Like it's like jittery. It's like got a low frame rate. It's like, why did... So I don't know if we needed this for society. I'm not entirely sure we needed to do that. You're doing too much. That goes to the inventor of the helmet cam. That was crazy. But that is the ReKAWp. That is the ReKAWp. I think we covered everything: offense, defense, special teams, coaching, awards. Yeah, that's what we got. I don't know. Watching it wasn't as bad on offense as I thought it was, because I thought it was going to be a lot of mistakes, but turns out they just didn't get anything from that defense. It was gross. It was gross for sure. It was just as gross as I thought it was going to be, but it was not as bad as I thought it was, which is just kind of how everything in life goes. But yeah, that's where we are. Thank you guys very much for listening. This has been Solid. My name is Jake. I will be back with you guys tomorrow for a report card for the 2024 Battlehawks regular season. I will come back to you guys with that, and then I'll also touch on what we got going on with the other teams that are in the maybe I will. No, I'll save that. I'll save that for next week if we get to next week. But yeah, that's where we're at. Thank you guys for watching. Go Birds. Call is the law. Go Ironbirds. Anything that you say, anybody can construe that as something like you're cheering for the Battlehawks. Like I was walking the dogs this morning, and this guy was weed eating right like on the sidewalk, and then he didn't turn his weed eater off as I was walking by. I was like, man, it'd been cool if you just kind of like stopped for a minute. And I didn't say that, but I kind of like did that with my body language. And that guy, obviously, he was like, oh, that guy's a Battlehawks fan. So that's where we're at. Thank you guys very much. I will talk to you tomorrow and earlier in the day. Thank you.